Like I said, before every episode, I'm going to kind of give a Bible verse. And today, this is what God put on my heart to let you guys know. It's a Psalms 34:19 states, "The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to the rescue each time." Psalms 34:19.
This is what it is. Psalms 144:1. Praise be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle.
Proverbs 15:1. And the word of God states, "Keep your softness, stay gentle, and remain kind. Don't let the negativity around you make you bitter." Proverbs 15:1.
Amen.
So with that being said, we're going to go into introductions and we can start. So we always start every episode with the Bible verse. So I'm going to start today with John 6:47. "I tell you the truth, anyone who believes has eternal life." So with that being said, go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll kind of go from there.
My name is Kassandra Sanchez, and I'm an old friend of Louis. We grew up together, and we're here today.
Yeah. Now I was in your quinceañera.
We were, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like the one and done. You know, it was kind of it was cool though. I mean, we grew up pretty much since kindergarten. You know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because obviously you don't realize how your life leads up to high school, right? Like you assume you know or you think you know, and then we kind of graduate and then we jump into life, really, like college and work and right, and everything's just kind of fast paced, and I think we kind of went our separate ways, like a lot of us in high school, right? And I hadn't really seen you since high school. I think I was like maybe kind of off and on through the years, like nothing really.
Yeah, just when we would run by each other. Or...
Yeah, and I mean it was never. I mean, I know today you're gonna share your testimony. You're gonna kind of go over, like your journey. But I never really got to see you like that. I didn't really get to see you like I kind of saw you like this last, and then I see you like this again, And running into you the other day at Sam's Club, it's kind of crazy how God aligns, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of said hi to me because I was looking, I was like, is that Kassandra? And that was what I was thinking, but I couldn't really confirm, Mm-hmm. And then I hadn't seen you in so long. I knew you had children, but I didn't know. Like I was like, I don't know if that's her. And then you told me what's up, and I was like, oh shoot, what's up? Hey,
Yeah.
And then like later on, we happened to link up because I just got social media, recently. Mm-hmm. And then when you had messaged me, you're like, oh, good seeing you. And then I was like, yeah. And then I was like, we kind of like just kind of went back and forth. How are you, right? Mm-hmm. And then I had mentioned, like, you had told me what you told me. And I was like, oh, do you want to come on podcast? And when you said, yeah, I was like, oh, shoot, right? And then so it kind of just aligned and we're here, right?
Yeah, it's just the way everything, like they say, it happens for a reason. And I believe in it. And it's just a calling. They say God's calling. And when you know it's the right time, it's the right time. You always prepare yourself for things thinking that, if I had the opportunity to do that or do that. But when the opportunity is there, this time, just the way I take steps is it's there, I take it.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting on anything to fall back or, a second chance or, I'll get another chance to do it because honestly, like the life I've lived, there's nothing promised. And I've gotten to see that firsthand for myself, to see how many times I've fallen and gotten back up. And this time just to stay walking is something that is in me. And I know I'm going to keep going. Every single day I have to wake up and tell myself, you're doing it. You're going to continue doing it.
Yeah.
And it's something that's happening.
Yeah, for sure. And I know it's gonna be hard for you, right? And then obviously we'll ease into it, And I feel like when you say fallen, right, it kind of explain to us and kind of give the viewers a little bit of like, we graduate high school, right? You're doing good,
yeah,
right? And then so we go into. Did you end up going to college, or did you start working, or what happened?
Fresno City.
Okay.
And then from Fresno City, I told myself I was gonna take a break because I was working 2 jobs. I was working at AT&T and Urban Outfitters, and then I think I got a 3rd job at Kathy Shoes, and I ended up from there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from school because I was all about making money.
Yeah.
And it was just I got a feel for the money, and I liked it, so I pulled away from school, and then actually I started living. That's when I started living like fast life. I started with my addiction. And then in 2008 is when I picked up my first federal case. Yeah, that's when I picked up my first Fed case in 2008. Mm-hmm. I completed it in 2010. I was sent home. And just from there, I kind of didn't know what to do because I was like, where do I start? What do you do now?
Yeah.
So I moved to Fresno. I was looking for a job and kind of, got the wrong crowd. Again, fell into my addiction.
Yeah.
From falling into my addiction, I just kind of lived life day by day, just figuring out what you're doing, not knowing what you're doing, just going with it, with emotions, and it takes a toll on you. And then in 2013 is when I got married. when I got married, I thought that, oh, this is what people do. This is what life is.
Yeah.
You get married and you have a family. I had my first daughter in 2013. Still my addiction, just going with emotion, not really knowing what's going on, but me in my own mind thinking this is what life is.
Yeah.
This is what you do. You have to go with it. You have to roll with it, not being prepared, not having any type of faith, just going in the motions of life. And when I had my second daughter, it was 2015. I had 2 daughters in 1 year, so I have Irish twins.
Oh, okay.
I had one daughter in January and the other one in December.
Okay.
Going through it, still in my addiction. Still
So this is you had your 1 in 2013 and you had 2 in 2015?
2015.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then you're at 1, 2, 3 then by the end of the 2015.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had my fourth daughter, Madison. She was my last one, and she was 3 months when I lost them. When I lost her and her sisters.
Mm-hmm. And when was this?
This was in 2017.
Okay, 2017.
My mom took custody of my daughters. I chose to prepare myself for life. That's what I called it in my mind. Like, oh, I'm going to prepare myself to come back, to be a stronger mother. I was going through a separation with her father. I ended up meeting someone else. Moved in with him, thinking I was preparing myself to get my daughters back, but still my addiction. And just kind of realizing that, okay, this is, how am I going to do this? How's it going to happen? Well, it all happened. It'll all fall into place in the mind of an addict, thinking that this is the right thing. In 2020, I had my son. And my son was living with me. He was
The son with the
second.
The second, okay.
Second. And when I had him, I thought, like, okay, you know what? If I can do this with him, then I can do this with my daughters. My daughters are going to be back into my custody. But I was choosing to do things not the way it was structured out to be. I was supposed to go into a program, complete the program, go to classes, do what I was supposed to do. But I told myself, like, no, I can do it on my own. Thinking in my mind that it's possible. I have my son, so obviously I'm going to get my daughters back. Not realizing that the consequences were going to catch up with me. And it did. When the CPS worker showed up to my house, we're wanting to know that why my son was still in my custody if I'm still an addict. And, those were words that hit me. They were really hard. And right then I knew already they're coming for him. And they did.
And at this time, your daughters are with your mom?
Yeah, they're with my mom. It's already been 5 years. 5 years have passed, and my mind was like, still thinking I'm preparing myself for it when I was just lying to myself, basically. And when my son went with my mom, I knew, like, okay, I'm doing this too. Not only first, the second, the third. This is my 5th child.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm doing this to him. And to see him pulled away from me, that had a toll on me, an effect. I seen it with my daughters, but I was still in a mind of an addict where it's just like your emotions. I was emotionless. I didn't know how to feel. Everything was just off.
Yeah.
Like I was just something that was just.
So like when your mom had, obviously that's your mother, right?
Yeah.
So when she had your children, did you ever visit them?
I was allowed to visit them. I was allowed to go see them as much as I wanted, as long as, I was sane or was in the right state of mind. I told myself I was, but then when my mom's seen that this last time around, she just said no, if I wasn't willing to change, that she was not going to do this anymore because it wasn't fair to my kids.
Yeah.
Because every time I went home, they always thought, mom's coming home. And every time I went home was only when I was preparing myself to give birth. And I would sober up, birth would come, and I was gone again. So this time, I knew already I was going to have to, when I was going back to where I was at with my son's dad, things had changed. Everything, he was gone. The house was just, what am I doing again? Alone again in my house. Am I supposed to start over again? I was literally by myself every day. He wouldn't want to come home because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I was living on my own. Before I knew it, it had to change. And it wasn't my home, it was his home. So when I left, I had nowhere to go.
What year is this?
This is in 2023.
Okay.
This is in 2023. No, it's going to be 2022. 2022, this was in December of 2022. And I remember just, holidays are coming, everything's going to get back together again.
Mm-hmm.
With my kids. Christmas came. I couldn't even make it home. Something in me just was like, preparing my family was looking for me and I couldn't. Something in me was just like, I can't, I'll be there tomorrow. And all the tomorrows started adding up and it wasn't going to come up to it. Till January 25th of 2023. So when I had court, and something in me that day, I knew that this is it. I was I had that feeling of relief.
Mm-hmm.
Of weird, but I was happy. I knew that this is it. I'm going to go to jail and my life's going to change for good.
Yeah.
Because going through it, you know already, it's something that it's a terrible experience, but when you go through it, you break all chains. Everything's broken, and it's something someone shouldn't have to go through. But when you go through that experience, you need to learn from it. You have to grow from it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't learn, or if it's not a challenge, you're not going to grow. So things that are challenging are preparing you for growth. And that's what happened. When I was released March 3rd of 2023, I took it upon myself to tell my mom to drop me off at a program, which was CAP in Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
I was there. I was a resident there. I didn't complete the program, but somebody in me already knew I was there until April 24th. I was done. I showed up back home. My mom was just like, it was kind of a struggle. Like, we're not going to do this again. Like, are you sure? And we went about it day by day, preparing myself, okay, we're going to live in situations. And so we just went from there. And day by day, I told myself, I had to self-talk and motivate myself to know that this is it. And just seeing how happy my kids were all together and just seeing me there was my motivation. My mom, on top of it, it was just like that strong Mexican mom, like, no, you're going to get up, you're going to do this. And
Yeah.
she was my motivation through it all, even though it was hard love, and she still does it. But I see it's not the goodness of her heart.
Yeah.
Because she's my mother. She knows who I am. She knows what she has. And not only with her, with God, with the faith, with my whole family standing by my side, ready to just help me, not to catch me, because they know that they're not going to sit there and cover up for anything. Just they're there to help me with my walk and all this journey. And I'm here today. I'm sober 2 years. January 25th was my 2nd year anniversary. And to me, it's still like amazing me to say it, because never did I think, hearing therapists and psychologists and all this, I went to a lot of mental health, and hearing me say that, they think that it's going to be something life-changing, that I'm going to have to go through medications. I was on so many different medications, and finally, slowly but surely, I just started, and I seen it in me. I felt it. You feel change. And I stopped. I stopped all my medications. I just wasn't going to give up on myself, and I didn't. And today, I know that I'm free from everything. I know that I can do it on my own, because I did do it. So miracles happen. God does miracles every day, and he's working, and he's preparing you. And it's what's going on. I'm still being prepared, and I know that, like I said, when you think about it, like, why me? It's because you were the chosen one. We were chosen. We were chosen to be here today, and he knows exactly what our path is going to be and what we're going to go through. And now when I see things and situations, I see it as struggle, but there's happiness in me, because I know once I get past that struggle, there's going to be success on the other side. There's going to be a victory.
Yeah.
And through every victory, it's like I can feel it with myself, and I know that humble feeling that I have when I lay down with my kids at night. And it's like nothing can take that from me. And it's something that's priceless. They can't put money, you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that was like I'm kind of letting you talk, and I wanted to kind of jump in, but I wanted to let you finish, right? So obviously, because it's kind of a lot, right? You're kind of talking, and you kind of, so help us go back, like, obviously 2013, your first child's born, right? 2015, you have the twins, January and December, right?
Yeah.
Your daughter comes in 2017.
Yeah.
Right? And then your boy's 2020. So that's 1, 3, 4, 5 kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you said pretty much you would basically go home to sober up, and then you'd leave.
Yeah.
And then, so kind of give us an idea of, like, you were just basically staying on the streets, or were you going from like house to house, or?
Basically I had no residence. When I left my son's father's house.
So at this point you're like in your addiction.
I'm in my addiction. And he has no, he doesn't know what to do. His hands are tied. He doesn't know what to do. Like, our son's not there no more. So basically we're in the point where it's like, what's going on? What's happening here? Our son was our only tie.
Yeah.
To us even saying that we had a relationship. But our one connection was the addiction. But me in my mind, knowing that both parents cannot be in an addiction and have raised a child.
So, and then just kind of like I said, I have an understanding, but I want to give the viewer like an understanding of when you say addiction, explain like to us, I mean, with the best way you can, obviously without getting like, if you can't get that emotional, don't worry about it. Yeah. Go with what you can as far as your limit. But explain to us, like, what's that like? What's a daily process when you're in your addiction, you and your significant other at the time?
It's not even waking up. It's because there's times when you just don't go to bed. But in order to keep pushing forward, like 7 o'clock's coming. my son's going to wake up. He has to eat something. Okay, in order for me not to fall asleep, you could go, you do what you need to do. You use to stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to stabilize yourself in order to be coherent, in order to function. And I would make it past that, make it to breakfast. My grandparents lived down the street. So I knew once my son was up, fed him, I would take him to my grandparents' house and he would go spend the day with my grandparents. I'd come back and I'd prepare myself to be able to have him back before his dad came home from work for us to be together.
Mm-hmm.
So the time I prepared myself, I just used, because you're falling in and out of sleep. And it's an everyday thing. You tell yourself you're going to get sleep, but how can you get rest when you know your son's going to come home and you need to kind of set that alarm to know this is my time span I have. And in order to become sober, it takes a while. People say it's 3 days to get things out of your system, but it's not sobriety. You're not sober. It takes a while. And I never got the picture of that. I never understood it. I always thought in 3 days I'll get sober. No, in 3 days it takes to come out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
Not to sober up. It's something that's totally...
What would you say obviously, what would be the longest you stayed up?
Oh, they stayed up. It would have to be maybe 3 days, and I would force myself to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't use so that I would be able to fall asleep. And those are weekends when my mother would come for my son so he could spend time with his sisters. My son's leaving for the weekend, because my parents did come, and they were there almost every week. If it wasn't 1 week, he was with them. 1 weekend, he was with my grandparents. Mm-hmm. So those are the weekends I was going to use to sober up. So then prepare myself to be able to do the daily things as a functioning parent. And it would come to, well, no, because then everybody's there, you're using, it's just one big party, and you're just, in order to function, you have to use.
Would you say majority of our hometown is, pretty bad right now and they're using?
They are.
People that we grew up with. Because, I worked in the county jail for 10 plus years, and I would see a lot, a lot of people that we went to school with. And I brought it up on videos that I would start to try to say, oh, I'm from Clovis. But then you see someone you went to school with, or, you see someone you interacted with, and like, bro, you're from Mendo, And I would see people come in, and I won't say the name, but you mentioned the name, who you were with. Remember, you're like, oh, I was with this person prior, and like, I'm going to jail. Well, that person that you named was my floor worker. Mm-hmm. I picked him to be my floor worker. Mm-hmm. And he told me about, incidences, and I don't remember him necessarily dropping your name, but he did drop a few names of who he had hung out with, and what it entailed as far as his life, or how he ended up basically in jail, right? Mm-hmm. And that kind of I didn't really realize how bad it was, I guess, until I started seeing people we went to school with,
When I was in my addiction, I have to say I couldn't say I hid it pretty well, but I was really to myself, locked up to myself, where people heard about it. They knew that I was under the influence of drugs, but they didn't see me because I used to hide. I stayed within the 4 walls of our house.
Yeah.
I stayed within the 4 walls of my house. My grandparents would come pick up my son, or like I said, I would just walk him and then come right back home. Never did I have a social life. I didn't go to my daughter's school functions, even though I said I would be there, even though as much as I tried to, even their graduations. That's the one thing that hits me, but now I can talk about it. That's one thing. And I know, because I'm a present mother now today, for all their functions, there's nothing that school doesn't ask of me, or something that I'm doing. I'm just I'm there. Mm-hmm. So it's something that I'm coming back from, but it's this comeback is something that's really personal, and it's really serious. And it's people, you read about it and you laugh oh, it sounds kind of corny.
Yeah.
But when you're going through it, it's not. It's anything but that. And it's real. It's just real. It's life.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it, I always thought, people can't do it alone. They need money. They need this. And I always would go reach out to my family for well, I need money to do this. I need money to do that. And they're just my brothers knew no other way but to give it to me. That's all my brother would do. He would always just, what is it you need, Kassandra? Oh, money. Okay. So I always had everything in my hands. But in my mind, to them, they're trusting me because, of course, I'm their sister. I'm their older sister. Mm-hmm. They're going to be okay, she knows what to do. And I do know what to do, but in an addiction, you want to just...
Yeah, you know what to do, mentally,
yeah,
but physically, and through the addiction, you just can't help it.
Yeah, you can't. And it's something that's hard, and it's not even it's a war. It's seriously a war. It's
spiritual warfare.
It's bad. And
what would you say? Okay, so now you've been in church 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
When did you feel you felt the presence of the Lord?
The presence of the Lord, I have to say, when I was in Fresno County.
Okay, and what year was this?
This was in February. It was my son's birthday, and I remember
February of what year?
February of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, it was his birthday, and I knew I wasn't going to be home. And my kids didn't know anything about where I was. They thought mom was in school.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
February of 23 is when I gave my life to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Officially. Like, so December of 22 was a
Yeah.
bad year for you, right?
Yeah.
Bad month for me, bad year for me. That was the month I decided to leave the sheriff department.
Uh-huh.
So I left the whole career, you know, and I had no plan, no future, and I know what I was going to do. And then I was really bad in my addiction. But my addiction was gambling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't drugs per se, but it's still an addiction. And
Yeah.
I feel like gambling is one of the worst addictions because you can't see it physically on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you're pretty much up for 3 days, you know, multiple days, and you're doing drugs, through time you're gonna see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're gonna be like, oh shit, he looks on one, or you know, just like they start.
Yeah.
But gambling is the same way. Like you're almost, that addiction is crazy because you're just so stressed out. Like you're so like effed up right here. I mean, you might as well say you don't sleep because you're so like, whatever your addiction is at the time. Then like if you're playing cards and you're binging, you know, in the casino, or you're
And it's
gambling.
accepted in society, so it's hard to say.
Exactly. Or if you're like, with me, I was I don't know, it was sports betting for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So like literally, like I'm right now watching the basketball game, right? Like back then I would have a bunch of money on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm like going through the motions, right? And it got to the point where like I was moving money, like I want to say anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 a week.
Oh, wow.
You know, whether losing or winning. And mind you, in 2023 I didn't have a job, so it's like I'm literally like playing with money that I don't even have. It's like fake at this point. It's almost like a game,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Until one day it went really bad, and to where I didn't have the money. And then after that, it's just kind of like, I think that was like my last wake up call. Like I think the last time I put a bet in, I looked at my notes. It was like November of 2023. November 5th was the last time I put a bet in,
Mm-hmm.
and I stopped gambling. That was like my last time gambling.
Mm-hmm.
But I still did it as I was saved. I came to the Lord in February of 23.
Mm-hmm.
I was still gambling in November of 23.
Yeah.
So like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, to people out there that are going through addiction like us and they struggled, like I came to God in February and I was still battling in November
Mm-hmm.
of the same year, you know. So it's not necessarily like just because you go to God it's going to be automatically like, oh yeah, it's done, right? Your problems are solved. It takes time, right? It's a process.
It's a process, and you have to trust it. And like when they say trust the process, you have to trust it. You have to lean in on the Lord, and you have to give it all to Him. Because honestly, with Him, everything's possible. It's not, if He's not first, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And like they say, our Lord's a stingy Lord because He wants all your love, and He is. But once you do that and you process that and you realize it, the rest is just like it flows.
Mm-hmm.
And now like it flows, and like I see it happening day by day, and I can sit there and I can actually lay back, and you know, in your mind you have a mental picture where you're just like, this is happening, this is
Yeah,
going on,
exactly.
and you're your own supporter, you're your own, like you root for yourself, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you feel good about it, you wake up knowing that you get to breathe fresh air, and that's something that's freedom. Me
Mhm.
going to jail, knowing that was the feeling of freedom, was something different. Like everyone's like, you know, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah, because you knew you're not going to use.
yeah, and people were just like, when I left my son's father, like I said, people heard about it, but I hid it pretty good too, where nobody got to see me. Nobody seen me.
Mhm.
Everybody knew, like, you know, what's wrong with that girl? You know, Charlotte just comes out, well, because I was trying to hide or whatever. Well, you know, if they don't see me, they don't see what I look like. Nobody realizes it, because in and out throughout the years, me using, a lot of people never knew when I was on drugs,
Mm-hmm.
because I would hide it pretty good. But it just gets to the point where you're just tired of the makeup. You're tired of hiding it. It's just exhausting. And you actually want a life. You want a life, and you know that one day the life you're living is going to end, because it's all based on lies. It's all based on
Yeah.
the drugs are lies. It's the biggest lie out there, and it's going to just tear you down. And I always thought, you know, people that lose control of it, no, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's going to happen. That's just what it is. So going through that now today, I wake up, and just recently I joined the gym, and now I wake up at 4 a.m, and I'm there at the
Dang.
gym by 4:30. I'm back to get my kids ready up for school by 5:30. Send them to school on the bus by 7. I'm at work at 7:30 or 9 o'clock, depending on the day, time I start.
What are you doing for work now?
I work at a juice bar in Fresno.
Oh, okay.
Rivera. I was
Nice.
at Garcia's, and then now I worked at a juice bar. And this job, I'm off on the weekends, so it gives me time more to balance with my children and do
Awesome.
functions with them.
So you get up every day at 4?
Yeah.
Man, yeah, no, those days are done for me. Yeah.
And it feels good. If I'm up late, something about me just feels groggy, because I feel that I have to do it. And I took it upon myself now. When I'm waking up and where I'm running, or I don't even take my my earpods, nothing like that with me. I'm talking to God the whole time. And even when I find myself going off track, I'll laugh. But it's like, that's my conversation with God. In church, they had told me you have to have that one moment with God, whatever time it is in the morning or it's sometime in the afternoon. I noticed that when I start my day with God, everything is good.
Yeah.
Everything is good. And it's just, I come back with a smile. Anything can be bad and I can just, talk about it. If it's something I know that I did wrong, and easily I'm sorry, because I know I'm not doing things the way I was in my addiction. Could just be something that goes on in the home, or, living with your parents is hard.
For sure. Oh, man,
So now me doing it, it's like me and my mom, we exchange words, but it's just like I always tell her, and I lay out straight, and I know she would so much. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. And it's like being back. I never thought I'd be back. When I was first one to leave, and right when I turned 18, I was gone.
Yeah.
And I'm never coming back. And I tried my hardest to never do that.
Yeah, it's a mindset, right?
This time, even with my kids, like I said, when it wasn't a choice. But I at least know that she was there to be the one to pick up my kids and not have to lose them in the system.
For sure.
And
that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and me thinking, because this time too around, we didn't prepare for myself to return, to be there. We thought already that, okay, Kassandra's gonna get on her feet and do everything. But like I told my mom, isn't it funny that we always say, we were never gonna be able to live together growing up. I was like, and now it's like I don't see any other way. So later, like in life, as I process life, if there is ever another person that's gonna be there in my life, it's like it's me and my family, not me and my kids. And I don't realize that. And when I talk to people and I kind of break that down to them, they like kind of step back, like, whoa.
Yeah, and I think the Lord will align it.
The way it's supposed to happen.
My favorite verse, and I'm gonna use it now in episode 8. I used it in every episode so far, but Isaiah 60:22. So when the time is right, the Lord will make it happen. Mm-hmm. So like, I think, obviously with you, it's just going to be about timing. And, obviously you thinking you're never going to go back home, and, you and your mom are alike. Like I could say the same, and I think the Lord puts us through our own, seasons and storms. Right. Yeah. And he's basically molding us, because it sounds like obviously you found him and you've come, and he's molded you and put you through situations where it looks like now that you're growing and you're learning. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, once again, I found the Lord in February of 23, and I still was gambling till November of 23. Mm-hmm. And so I think when we're in it, we have to just, when something does occur in our lives, we have to like ask the Lord, like, what are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to show me? Like, instead of like, why, Lord, why me? Mm-hmm. And when that occurs, it's more like because we got to continue to have faith and trust, because at the end of the day, he's going to test us to see like, okay, where is your heart? Is your heart really truly about me? Are you truly for me? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to go run back to your addiction? Are you going to go run back and what we're used to? Right. And I honestly can sometimes, even right now, like as he's blessing me with this podcast and he's been blessing me with other opportunities, I'll probably say it now, because by the time this just drop, by then we'll know if I have gotten the job or not. But I might go back and teach at our own high school. The high school just offered a criminal justice position in Mendota High. Yeah. And they're interested, and it's kind of like, I'm gonna put in. I have to put in by this Friday the 9th. Yeah. And then they should know by the end of this month who's gonna get it. And if I were to be blessed with that position, that would be like crazy, because I would have never ever guessed, like, oh my God, the Lord. Like when I lost my job over there. When I say lost, I lost my stripes. I didn't lose my job. Mm-hmm. But when I lost my career, I mean, people were like, rumors were going around that I had like got fired, mm-hmm. that I was taking stuff in and all this, like it had gotten so out of control. Mm-hmm. And I think what hurt me the most was like my parents didn't believe me. My family didn't believe me.
I remember when I went in, my mom had brought it to me because she follows a lot of my old friends, and she's proud for them. She's one of the mothers that's like, she roots for you guys behind the scenes. Like, oh, look, Kassandra's found out. Oh, Louis, he's working, he's doing this now. And I remember in my mind, I'm like, oh, how embarrassing if I run into him right now. Because I was getting taken in before I was taken into custody on January 25th of 2023. Before that, I was falling in back and forth. Like, I would go in, they would cite me out, like Sanchez for citing you out. It was never for my addiction. Like, they never found anything on me. Never anything. But it was always other things coming up. And they're just like, what is it? And to me, I was just like, okay, in and out the system. When's this going to be over? When's this going to fall? And it's God, like, it was a mess. Now, today, I see that God was preparing me for today, mm-hmm. and what it is. Because, to be back into my kid's life, that's hard. Mm-hmm. And to be the mother that they deserve, I'm still not there, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, I don't deserve them. They deserve a mother that's healthy, that's going to be there, that's going to actually, wake up to. And I thank God for that every single day, even when life is hard. And I tell myself, like, there's moments I say, no, I deserve a life too.
Yeah.
But I'll laugh at it because I'll think to myself, how selfish of me to say that. Like, my life was given when I had these kids, when God put them in my life, because he was preparing me to be a mother for them, because he chose them to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here to take care of them under him. So,
Well, that's amazing, Cassandra, because I could tell you this right now, like coming from a broken home, my parents, and they both battled their addictions,
yeah.
and it's especially the mother. I can say the father too, but like I can tell you right now, coming from it on my own,
Yeah.
like my mother wasn't present, and I don't. I used to have so much like blame and hate for her for the longest time, and as I've come closer to God, like I'm learning to deal with it. I'm still not there yet, 100%, but I try, and I just think that's amazing of you. And I want to like give you like your flowers, because like to do that, that's really like brave of you, because like you could have easily just chose the addiction, and had this simple way out, right? And you're choosing to stand up and fight, and then like you're coming on now, you're giving your testimony and you're giving the glory to God, and doesn't mean you're not gonna fall. Like doesn't mean you're not gonna like. I'm not saying you're gonna go back into your addiction. But
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're not gonna have like roadblocks.
No, yeah.
And you're not gonna have issues come up. And I just feel like as long as you keep it, and I'll keep you in prayer too, obviously. But as long as you just keep, your eyes on the Lord and keep, like you said, it's not about religion. It's about relationship with him.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're getting that and you're flowing in. And I'm just, I'm very excited for you as far as that goes. And your kids are lucky to have a mother that's willing to fight for them. Because I'm telling you right now, later on, it's going to make, they're going to be like, well, my mother did fight. And it's going to show them like when stuff goes wrong, like, hey, they're not going to just give up.
It's not perfect, like I said, having that Mexican mother, then her, just growing up, and she was the one who always fought for everything. She was a strong mother, and
yeah, I remember her.
Say she'd always would sit there and she would ask us, what is it that I did wrong? And I have to always remind her, even when she goes through things, Cassandra, what did I do wrong? She didn't do anything wrong. I tell her, Mom, you raised us smart enough to know how to manipulate everything. Mm-hmm. We used it for the worst, like for the bad. That's all we did for. You raised us so good that we knew how to do both sides.
Yeah.
Like when I was street smart, I was book smart. I knew already how to get around everything. She did everything the way it was supposed to happen. I tell her, there's no perfect way to do it, but you did your best.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And today, she's still there. Like she said, no matter how old she gets, I'm her child. And if it wasn't for her pushing me every day, even, that little nudge, because there's times, and I have to remind myself, and when I see her walking down the hall, it's just that's my reminder. Okay, come on. Like, there's no sitting down until everything's done. You got to do it. And that's when we get to sit down. And things have gotten better and they're flowing better. It's just like, everything's in the background, everything's in the scenes, and you just see it happen. Like it's happening. It's actually happening. I have to tell myself that, like, Sandra, you're doing it. You're doing this.
Yeah.
Something that people said that you were never going to do. Law enforcement said that it was never going to happen. I had so many officers tell me, like, Sanchez, you're not going to get your kids back, so you might as well just do what you need to do for yourself. Like,
they would tell you that?
And me realize, like, okay, that's reality. So I had it in my head even when I was going through mental health. They're like, you need to not focus on your kids. They were literally like, tell me, focus on yourself, because right now we're in the mind. Like, can you function? Can you not function? So it's something that's really hard. So when I see people and I understand that what they're going through, I went through. And it's something that's just totally like, if you don't believe in yourself, like I could have literally lost myself in all of it. Mm-hmm. Like literally sit there, you become your own enemy, your own friend, your own everything.
Yeah.
It's
I think that's in our mind, and I feel like that's the enemy.
Yeah.
The enemy like telling us lies. The enemy's a liar, and I think I can't quote it because I don't know Bible verbatim, but I think it's John 10:10 where it says the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
And as long as we we rebuke the devil and he will flee from us, right?
Yeah.
And that's just, I think, through time when that's his job to make us feel like we're not worthy and we're never going to live up to our expectations, or we're going to go back into our addiction, or we're going to fall back into our ways. And I just think with God, we're like saved by his grace, I mean, he came into this world and he died for our sins, right? So I feel like with the Lord, it's just don't allow the enemy to come in and put those thoughts in our mind. Because like you said it yourself, like if you don't have the confidence or you don't think of yourself a certain way, like we could fall off super fast, and it really is like a mind game. Like up here is where you lose it. Either you could win it or lose it, right? And I guess you can say, like, do you still get like those kind of thoughts in your mind? Like, do you ever feel like, oh, okay.
There's time when I sit there and I think, and when I'm just thinking to myself, how did I get to that point where I would think certain things? But it's I can't even begin to just explain what led me there or what it was. Like you said, it was all the devil. Like it was all just something that was coming. It was an ungodly thing. Something just feeling like they're conquering you, like making you believe something that's not happening, and you thinking like, okay, you know what, what do I need to do today to be able to do this? If honestly, if you're not walking by faith, you're not gonna do it. You have to have faith in anything you do. You just have to have faith in God, that he's gonna, like you said, that he's gonna align you with everything and prepare you to be, and it's gonna be possible. So
when you saw me that day on Sam's Club, right? And then obviously you hitting me up later. Like, did you feel anything like in your spirit, or did you feel anything?
it was like I said, when I found out you were working, I was like, how embarrassing if I see Louis through this. I was like, it's gonna be embarrassing, because not only that, the way we grew up, you were always one person that you were straightforward about things, and we couldn't get past it. Like, no matter if it was us hanging out or later on, you know, once you had your son, the times we ran into each other, it's just like you're not gonna say it. You know, you don't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
So I always knew, like, oh gosh, if I run into this is gonna be so embarrassing. So I knew that I had some shame still there. So Kassandra, you know what? You still have some shame. There's still something. It's not like, you know, I was totally shameless.
Yeah.
And so I knew then, like, if I could care that much about what someone thinks, like, then I'm gonna, come on, Kassandra, don't lose that.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And now it's like I see it, like, you know, be someone that you're gonna be proud of, you know. And there's moments that are embarrassing, but I can look back at them now, because it's not where I was at, it's where I'm at now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get it. I mean,
so
I totally understand.
I already knew, like, okay, when I seen you too, like, believe it or not, like, always growing up, for some reason, even before we had kids, even when you were living at your grandma's, the times that I would just stop by and we would hang out.
Yeah.
Like, even if I was to be there in the living room, whatever, while your grandma was cooking, you'd be in your room playing games. But for some reason, when you came around, it was like it was an influence, and it was weird because, like I said, you never let us live it down, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Now, we were really good friends.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
like,
I want the audience to understand, like, we grew up together, like, you know, like kindergarten. We grew up, like, we were friends from, you know, like I said, the only thing is we just didn't keep really in contact after high school, you know. But I still see people now, and I'm always like, hey, what's up? Like, you know, I've always been social.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the thing is, I guess, like you said, I was really, like, you know, straightforward and kind of like an asshole, you know? So
yeah, but if you grew up with you, it's like, you know, it's like, that's just the way Louis is. He's saying it the way he sees it.
Yeah.
And exactly. And we can't hide it. We grew up in town. Like you said, you know, you grew up with parents that you already knew what was going on already. You can't bullshit you about
yeah,
it.
no, exactly. I mean, you grew up, like, pretty much, didn't we grew up in the same apartments?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so it's like, exactly, we saw shit, you know, like, we gotta, like, you couldn't tell us, like, that's not drugs, like, bro, we just saw it.
One time, I think I seen you. I was hanging out with one of your cousins, and you told me. I remember you were going by a certain street over there by where we lived in the apartments, and you were just like, Kassandra, what are you doing? And you, like, the way you looked at me, you just like you shook your head, and I was like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing right now, because you knew exactly what was going on. And that's, I remember you told me, I don't even know if you remember that. You're like, what are you doing? Because your cousin, or you seen your cousin, and you just like, and you're like you already knew, why are you hanging out with her? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, so then I was just like, oh my gosh. And when I ran into Sam's Club, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Louis. So then when I asked, you know,
I'm shocked you recognized me right away too. Like, it was like crazy. You know?
Yeah. And when I seen you, and I was just like, oh, and then I reached out to you to see how you were, because I remember you guys, you and Alyssa were good connections. Like, you guys were good community, a good community. Like they say, you make your community. I never understood when people were talking about community. I always thought like, okay, your local community. You know, your community is your friends, people, your relationships you build.
Yeah.
And you guys were always one of the, you know, positive relationships that I always had. And so when I reached out to see how you guys were, you know, said hi. And then when you asked me, it's like, okay, this is it. This is the opportunity right here. Because like today coming, like, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
With being here at the situation.
I honestly feel like it feels like, honestly, like, man, it's crazy because the way you look today, it's like the Kassandra I knew in school. So it honestly just feels like we're picking up because we were always friends.
Yeah.
Like, you could put in, I mean, I just turned 37, so 18. You could put in 19 years in between us, and look, it's still like the other day we were just, you know, hanging out and growing. Like, we literally grew up together. Like, literally, like, you know, we were at the park.
Like, the memories we have are memories we wouldn't remember on a daily basis. But when you see that person, you're like, wait a minute, I have a lot of childhood memories with this person. And even if it's just bypassing each other or whatever it been, it's not like, you know, we're just the best of friends every day, but our lives were surrounded by each other.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So
that's why it's kind of crazy. Like, when I did get with Alyssa, you know, because, you know, she was being from Farball and we were from Indo, you know, and like, I know, you know, like all of our friends are not going to be perfect, right? Like there's always family and friends, and they say you could pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. Well, I feel like we do pick our friends, but we can't pick what our friends do. So some of our friends mess up. You know, some of our friends are still doing things or whatever the case may be. They got in some trouble. And I always looked at it like I always had friends that were traviesos, you know? And I had a lot of good friends too, but like when my friends would get in trouble, like I never stopped talking to the ones that were like gang members or, you know, little traviesos or getting in trouble. Like I feel like I met them before my job. But the thing is, when I got like really serious in my career, I had to start changing because like, okay, I mean, if they see me in the, you know, in there and they're going to be like, oh, what's up, Louis? Like, you're not going to call me by my name.
You always had a firm attitude, though. Growing up, I have to say, when I heard my mom told me about you becoming working for the sheriff's department, she told me, I was just like, you know what? That is Louis.
You think so?
That is him. I totally say it because just seeing you, like, you never lost that firm attitude, that firm you.
Yeah.
You've always been a very firm person when it comes to things, and no one can change your opinion on it. Like, what it is, even
Yeah, I
if you
was
know
always
it's wrong, you're
stubborn.
really firm on it.
Yeah.
And you don't care because you know both sides. You've seen it. Like you said, you were raised in it. You see what's going on. So it's just like you weren't going to change your opinion. Not like, oh, you know, Louis is a different person. No, Louis is Louis.
Yeah.
That's who you are. You're you.
I think personally though, like what, like obviously me prior to, you know, becoming a man of the God, like I was not the best person though. Like, I mean, we talk about like going over your story, right? And just kind of touching a little bit on mine. Like I'm blessed. Like I'm lucky to keep Alyssa, you know, like she should have left me, you know, and then like, I feel like if that would have been the case, then my kids would have been separated and they would have had to have visits and
that's the hard thing.
holidays and everything split up, you know, and it's like, that's when you mess up the kids, you know, and I'm not saying, oh, stay with your spouse for the kids, because then obviously you're not unhappy with the relationship, right? I'm just saying the way it worked out for me is like the Lord, I see now, like Alyssa's God sent, you know, and it's the stuff that we've been through. It's kind of like, and I get emotional sometimes thinking about it because I'm like, man, how long did it take me to wake up, you know, and like, why do I deserve this? And I feel like as I'm coming and learning about the Lord more, it's like you gotta appreciate what you have now, what you're blessed with now, like what He's given me, you know, now, and then He'll allow you to get blessed more. I used to be a greedy person, you know, being in gambling. Like I always wanted, I don't know why I wanted money. Like it's not like I didn't have it growing up. Like not saying I was rich, but my parents, if I needed money, they were gonna give me money, you know. And it's like, so I was always just like so greedy, and I allowed that to like consume my life, you know. Money was my God, and you know, because that's why my addiction started, you know. And I don't know why, like as we start going through it, and I honestly feel like I don't have no education in like mental health, but being in the field I was in for so long and watching therapists interview inmates and see, and I almost like, not that I know the human mind, but it's like I can honestly like sit here and tell you, like, man, I would see a lot of situations of why people were either depressed or going through it or how they would manipulate. And I would look at it like you said it perfectly earlier. It's like, it's all about what we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I tell myself I'm a loser or I'm not this or I'm not that, or it's like, then I'm going to be that, you know. But if I tell myself I'm a winner, you know, obviously you don't want to get too conceited, but it's just about confidence, you know. And I think the Lord will give you what you kind of said, we stated earlier, like wisdom, right? And it kind of through time, you know, as you become more obedient and you learn more and you read your word, like you just kind of like know how to approach. Like with me, I feel like I'm not trying to shove it down people's throat, but I'm just trying to let people know, like, hey, before this is how I used to be, and I'm like this now because of the Lord, you know. And I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, you know, but it's like for now, I feel like that's what, when we discussed it and you told me what you had told me, I was like, wow, like I wanted to talk about addiction because I had it, you know, and there's so many people out there that are going through it right now. And I feel like when they see just your podcast, like even if you helped one person, that's still one person that, I mean, maybe could have said, hey, I'm done. And then now that they see that, wow, look at what Cassandra's doing and look at Louis, like God is really like put his hand on their lives, and that's what it's about, you know?
Because honestly, if I wouldn't have fallen, I think I would have been somewhere just not a godly person, totally lost. Because when I was going to college and my grandparents, you know, they were there for me as well. I had a strong, a broken family, but it was a strong foundation. And my grandparents, they were there for me.
Well, we were the same.
Yeah.
Our grandparents were like our
parents. They were like there. They were there to catch us and everything we needed. And whatever we know we couldn't get at home, we knew our grandparents would do for us. So with my grandparents doing everything they did for me, God brought me to a situation where it was going to be either I call to him or there's nobody to call on. Like I say, I told a friend one time that fell into jail, and I told him, you know, the only thing I can tell you is that God brings us situations where he brings us to our knees to look up to him. If we don't do that on our own, he's going to bring us to a situation where the only thing we can do is look up and call to him.
Exactly.
That's the only thing we can do, and that's happened to me. And when I first fell into jail, when I was in federal custody, I was, you know, calling home, you know, wanting to get bail. You know, the judge, just the way how it happened, how he revoked my bail, he did everything. There was nothing money can do. And because I was just like, oh, you know, my grandparents, they're going to take care of it for me right now. I'm going to be out. And the moment the judge says, you know, bail revoked, I was just like, well, then what do we do? And the attorney's like, well, we have to wait for, what do you mean? Like, how much do I have to pay to go home? He's like, that's not the way it works. And I'm just like, whoa, that was something that I
like your first
control.
awakening.
I had to lose control of everything. And I was so used to having control over things. If my mom couldn't do it, then I ran to my grandparents. And I knew already how to do things.
And you became like a master manipulator in a way.
Yes. And I knew how to do everything to get what I wanted.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that I couldn't have. So growing up, seeing this person, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there that they're going to say, you know, Kassandra was an ugly person. And yeah, I was, because I knew how to manipulate everything. And it's like, oh, you know, who are you to? Like,
exactly.
I looked down on people when I had no right to.
Yeah. Same
situation.
Yeah.
And now that I'm going through things, it's like God did this to me for me to understand, you know, what it is. He didn't, you know, God never hurts us.
Yeah.
He only puts us in situations to bring us out of it.
Exactly.
Us. So I'm going through everything. Like, I'm so excited because I know my journey's not done and he's not done with me. So just as long as I keep fighting and I keep waking up every morning and having that mindset, I know what that victory is coming, and it's going to be the one victory. And it's like, I can't wait to be able to then have words for everyone and say, you know what, this is what my victory is.
I honestly, and I've had people come on and be like, hey, I'm excited to bring you on a second time and bring up your update. But honestly, like, I could truly say, like, I'm very excited if I can bring you back on like in a few months and see where your journey's at with the Lord. Like, that's the whole point of this podcast, is like to kind of give your journey, right? And in realness, like, I feel like in this sense, like, you know, you were like at one point homeless, right? You didn't have your children, you know, and then you're in your addiction, right? And there's pretty much no way out, right? And then you pretty much find God. Yeah,
like, I hid from everything. Literally, I wouldn't, throughout the day, I'd never like went anywhere. If I was somewhere wherever I was at night, I try to stay there as long as possible, and wherever I was at, just so in the day I wasn't seen by anyone. So nobody really knew what it was. But when my family would go looking for me, they knew to look for me at night. They're like, oh, Kassandra, she's hiding somewhere right now. She's not going to be out. So my brother was the one that always would come from Fresno, you know, 7 a.m. You know, a certain person we would talk to, he would talk to him, you know, hey, have you seen my sister? He's like, no, you know, she's not going to come out till night. You know, we don't know where she's at right now. But, you know, your sister, she's smart. You know?
And where would you be, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, places in Mendota.
Oh, okay, just random spots.
Mendota, yeah, random spots, and people knew. But see, when I was there, I held my own weight. Like, I cleaned, I did everything. So I didn't want to be that person where it's like, hey, you know, we don't want her around.
Yeah.
So when I was there and everybody like knowing that I was leaving, they're like, what do you mean you're leaving? Like, you can't leave. You just did all this, like, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, there people would sit there and say, you know, you did this. I was like, but I don't belong here. Like, I'm here helping people with their kids. And that would hit me because there's certain people that I would wake up in the morning like, oh, you know, don't worry, I got it. I'll help you. And the kids, you know, they would draw close to me. And I'm like, you know why? Because I'm a mother. But why am I not with my kids?
Exactly.
Doing this.
Yes.
So even to this day, like even now with the school and the church, I work, I do service for the church after services on Sunday. Me and my daughters, we join the 18. So what we do children's classes. So when I'm there, like today, they told me again, they're like, you know what? We're so thankful for you to be here. For some reason, the kids draw close to you. And that's one thing I was like, because my purpose is to be a mother.
Yeah. You do have a good glow, a good glow, and you have a good vibe. Like, I will say that, like, I feel it when you came in. Like, it was a good vibe.
So when with the kids or whatever it may be, they're just like, you know, oh, you know, we don't want to push too much upon you because we know, you know, I'm like, there's nothing you're going to push upon me that I can't handle. Yeah. Honestly. And if it's something that I can't handle, I'm going to work through it. Like today in church, they said that we can't change the direction of the wind, but we can adjust to it to be able to have self-control over ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing we can do. So when I heard that stuck out to me. Like, you know what, that's right. Not every situation is going to flow the way we want, but we need to adjust to it to realize how we're going to win that victory, how we're going to overcome it. For sure. So there's nothing we can't overcome. You just have to align yourself a certain way and be able to take it on a certain way. Yeah. So, you know, being in the mentality of growing up with brothers who were wrestlers, like, I always put these little metaphors in my mind, like, Kassandra, how are you going to tackle the situation? Or how are you going to do this? And my brothers, they're like, they'll laugh at me now. Like, now they can laugh at me. Before, you know, they were scared of me. But now they can laugh and sit there and say, you know, the nicknames they call me. Because my brother, he's graduating from Fresno State this May. So he always tells my sisters,
This month pretty much.
Yeah, he tells my daughters, like, he calls them my sisters. He goes, those are like your sisters. Because, my mom was raised my children. So he always tells them, he's like, no, you want to know who the real bulldog is? And he's like, it's your mom. And I'm like, oh, gosh. So my daughters have this mentality. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
And they never grew up for it. And I think that's the best thing I could have did is just leave them with my mom.
For sure.
Because they're clueless to the fact. They really just found out that their mom went to jail. And oh my gosh, it was like, okay, but it's okay because mom learned, and they're just like, their world fall apart.
Yeah.
But no, they're so mean there. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It happens to people. So then this is on you to them. They don't know. You could tell them something bad about their mom and they're just.
Did they ever come at you? Like, where were you?
No, they knew. They knew everywhere I was at. When I was with my son's dad, they knew. But in their mind, they're like, oh, but you couldn't leave Michael. Because, he had his dad too. They accepted, and it's hard for me to realize it, but they know their father's not there and he's not present because they don't have any relationship with their dads. And not because, they don't want to. It's just we left it an open thing, and we don't go looking for them. If they want to see them, they're willing to see them. So my daughters they already adjusted to not having their dad. So they knew Michael had his dad, and they held on to that. They're like, oh, because, you're with Michael's dad. So how do I say this? They learned to live without him already.
Yeah.
They already learned to live without him. And it's something people could say, how sad or whatever it is. Yeah, it is sad for him because he doesn't realize that.
No, for sure. Yeah.
For them, it's something that's like, oh, to me, it's so much easier. So much easier. Such a weight off my shoulders. And to be able just to have that connection with my daughters. And it's just us. It's beautiful because the things we do, like, yeah, I'm a single mother and we do it together, us. But the way it flows is just something that you can't break.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, that's little girls need their mothers for sure. Mm-hmm. But I mean, hopefully, but then you have your brothers, right? Yeah. So like, they just need to, I think my biggest fear when it comes to my daughter is I don't want her to meet a Louie, a young Louie. I don't want that. And so when I started like kind of realizing, and as I'm kind of going through this change and this, everything kind of growing up and maturing, I just kind of realized like, okay, how do I want, my daughter to be treated? But not only that, like, how do I want my kids to be treated? And how do I want, just in general, right? And God humbled me where I had to lose my stripes. I had to go through what I had to go through because when I ended up leaving the jail, I didn't have a plan. So I went and got on food stamps, got on cash aid, and got on Medi-Cal, and we're in the office and we're getting it right. And then you want to talk about being humbled. Like, that's humbling, mm-hmm. Going from making X amount of money to making nothing to asking for help. And I remember the security guard in the room, right, in the county office, he's like tripping on me. And I remember initially I was like, bro, you don't even, like, you're a fucking security guard. You don't even know who I am, Like, yeah. Bro, whatever. But then it's like, I am nobody. I'm here asking for help. But it's like, I'm looking in the room and like, no, that person, no, that person, no, that person. And that was when like God humbled me. And just he revealed to me, like, because when I left the county initially, I went to Costco like in March of 23, and that was like the worst and best thing that could have happened to me because the worst were because I was like a certified janitor, so I would run into people and they'd be seeing me mop, do dishes, get dirty, right? And I'm talking like I would see like high-ranking people at my old job and they were looking at me like, honest in a way, like I felt like they were looking down on me, because I'm right there like a janitor, going from being a corporal, running orientation to running a floor to possibly becoming a sergeant. Now it's like I'm mopping floors. And so I felt like God put it in my heart to tell me, like, remember, any moment I can take and give.
But don't you feel when you were doing that at the moment, like when I'm at my job now, there's nothing I would change about the way I am today. I'm where I'm supposed to be today. But don't you, like even mopping or cleaning, I take pride in it. It's a whole different level of growing up, a whole different level of being an adult. Like,
I think with me, it just made me feel like no matter what your title is, Louis, no matter what you think you're doing, like you always got to put the hard work in, and it ends and starts with mopping. It starts and ends with doing the dishes. It starts with, and basically God revealed to me like the little things, right? And so when you do the little things, the big things will just kind of fall in place, right? So he was teaching me more about discipline and starting over, and don't forget where we came. But back to those things, yeah, like don't forget where you came from, and so stuff like that. So now that he blessed me with manager, like Kassandra, me, we grew up together. Like I don't know shit about cars, yeah. And they put me in basically running a car shop. And so like when I talk to my customers, like, yeah, I picked it up now. I'm a smart guy. Like when it comes to like street smarts, I could talk to you. And but when I have a question I don't know, like I'll take you outside and we'll talk to the mechanic and we'll figure it out together. I think people love that about me. And I feel like that's what I'm talking about, the hard work. Like I tell my guys sometimes when I go to work, I'm like, you guys will not work me. I was like, the thing about me is like, I'm a dog. I'm gonna go get it, you know? But the thing is, it's like, doesn't mean that you can't be as good as me. It's just that I feel like everything happens for a reason, right? And the jails prepared me for so much because you could run into so much stuff, dude. I mean, I had a fentanyl overdose. I had 9 inmates go down one night. You know, 9 inmates literally almost died on me. We brought them all back to life. You know, and it was the training, but that right there, that's still the craziest moment I could tell you. Like, I had a call for like multiple code 3s, multiple ambulances. Code 3s like, get here now. Like, we need you here immediately. And like I said, 9 inmates went to the hospital. We ended up saving them all. No one died. But it's like that situation prepared me for like customers coming in crazy. Like maybe possibly going to teach a room full of kids. Like that's not, I mean, most teachers now, like they're, oh my God, these kids are so bad. I'm not saying that it's going to be a walk in the park for me, but coming from where I came from, where God has prepared me, I feel like it's going to be something that I can hopefully ease into, you know?
Walk the walk with them. Like,
yeah, well, and then none of that, we were from Mendo. So it's like they can't sit there and tell
I
us.
can talk the talk with you guys. I know what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
like, bro, it's Friday. Or it's,
You can't buy that. That's like to be able to have that experience in life, to be able to grow up like that, that's priceless. Like that's the thing.
Really is.
My brother hits me all the time with the school book thing, and I was like, "What I got is priceless." And he was
Yeah.
like, "Here we go." And I'm
No,
like,
yeah,
I was like,
but we,
you
yeah.
can't learn that in a book. We tell him all the time. You cannot learn what I know in a book.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of crazy because, like I said, we were friends. Dude. We grew up, like, we did stuff together in high school. Like, we were at certain parties and with certain people. And, you know, it's like, so it's kind of crazy how, like you said, like, I feel like our kids, especially yours being younger than mine, I have a soon-to-be sophomore. He's a freshman. And, like, when we were freshmen, bro, you remember what we were doing?
we knew already. And it's like kids today are just so, like, wow. Like, I can't count on my daughter to get off at the gas station without her panicking, like, are you serious? And I'm like, come on, Jolene, you could do it. So recently now she's coming around to it because, you know, she wants to believe in herself because her mom believes in her.
Yeah.
And I love that about her. Now she's like, Mom, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, you'd go do it by yourself now. But at that age, we were doing everything on our own already.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're walking home by ourselves, walking to practice late at night.
I was driving, like, when 8th grade, 7th grade, like, you know, it's like, it's crazy because now I see these kids and, like, I was trying to say, I don't know if it's because my son's not cool enough or he's just different as far as the way these kids are. It's like, but he didn't go to no like parties his freshman
And that's
year.
a good thing, though. We want
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like it just tripped me out because I remember my freshman year we were going to like party and this.
We knew how to ditch the dances.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, and we would get home and it's just different, you know. And I look at it like maybe that's a good thing, you know, for at least our.
I have to say we had a good school experience, though.
We really did.
Like nowadays, a lot of people can't talk about that, and we did. We had that good sportsmanship. We had our like just friends. We're all around experience, and I have to say, our group of friends. I could sit there and say everybody probably could say that about their group of friends, but you know, we stood out. We had that in us, and I think in life, those are things that we carry. And honestly, as long as we don't lose focus, we're always going to stand out no matter what it is. And we have to just believe in ourselves. People could sit there and say, you know, watching this, I'm probably going to say, oh, you know, whatever it is. But, hey, we believe in ourselves and it's in our cards to do it, then why not do it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's going to be crazy when I end up going back. If I end up going to the high school, right, and teaching, it'll be kind of crazy because, like, all the memories, you know, we have there, I remember, like, very vaguely, but it's there is, like, you know, my senior year and just all the crazy stuff. And then going back on social media recently, like I hadn't been on social media in years, especially like working where I worked. I just didn't have it, right? And then now I'm kind of seeing everybody and it's just kind of like full circle. Like, wow, we're already at that age now, like where we're coming up on our 20 here.
I know.
If you think about it, like this is like we're going on year 19. So imagine if I'm a teacher and I hit my 20 years, it's just kind of like sometimes like mind boggling. Like, wow, like I can't believe 1 minute we're talking about, we're young and, you know, we're not going to be, in the next minute we're going to be 40. You know, it's kind of like.
I'm still in denial about my age because I was like, I can't believe it. I just want the years to go back a little bit. I'm like, just a few years back.
Yeah.
So it gives me time to catch up. But with the progress that I've made, I can say I'm happy.
No, for sure.
I'm real humble about the situation and just the progress. Like people I run into, like now that I run into law enforcement, I'm proud to see them because they see me and they literally will step back and they'll be like, wait a minute, I know you. And they tell me and they're just like, wait, like there's so many that follow me on social media and they tell me every day just with the little progress, we cannot believe, the mother that you are. We're proud of you, thumbs up, whatever it may be. People give me hugs to be pull out of everything that they said that I was not be able to pull out of, and to tell my family, be prepared because she's in a mental state where she's probably going to need help the rest of her life.
And you think, okay, so do you think when you were in that mental state, do you think it was just like the enemy attacking you?
I know it was the enemy attacking me because I was even to the point where I just had even told my mom, this is like, I literally said it myself out loud. This is my life. My kids are going to have to cope with not having their mother, and I'm going to have to cope with not having my kids. So why am I going to wait for it to have that happen? And my mom was just like, refused to,
Yeah.
That's
she
not
didn't
true.
give up.
She's not going to give up. She didn't want to hear it. And I'm just like, there's times when I decided to tell her, even through text, like she would always, come on, Kassandra, what is it? What is it that you need? Tell me, we're right here, no matter what it is, time of day. My brother was on it. Like, I could call him and he was there because he was waiting for me to change.
Mm-hmm. Which one's this one?
Ivan.
Okay.
And me and Ivan have a really close bond, and he's the one, Luke's in San Diego. Isaiah's just graduating. He's one more, and Isaiah's the one that gets hurt by this whole situation because he was little when he's seen everything. I think he was 9 years old when the first time a federal agent came to him and asked him, looking for me, and he's traumatized by that. Like, he's just, because to this day he'll tell me, like, and he talks about it, like, I'll never be able to change it. You took that from me. And like, he's like, I was 9 years old playing outside when someone had to come tell me they're looking for my sister, and that was hard. So now to see it, and he's just like, with my kids, and to know, there's no words needed, but we know, like, they know, and I know that I'm doing it. So that's the only thing I could do. It's like, I owe it to not only myself, but to them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, like, we're all going to be rooting for you. I'm pretty sure when we release this, everyone's going to be rooting for you. And like, not only that, we're just going to be interested in like your story and your journey. Right. And that's the point of this podcast, Kassandra. And like I said, once again, just the way God has aligned us to kind of interact and not seeing you for so long. And like, it's still, I honestly, like, I'm mind blown. I would have never guessed what you're telling me because of the way you look. It looked like you just been good the last 19 years. And
I get that from a lot of parents, like at the school. And I share my testimony with the kids because they're like, oh, you're their mom. They're used to see my parents, and they're just like, wait a minute, so who are you, sister? And I'm like, no. So recently, this is the second year now that I've been involved in the school, and they see me. They're like, oh, now they know that this is mom. And for me, like, showing up and them wondering, like, are you sister? Like, no, I'm their mother. And they're like, what do you mean you're their mother? They have a mother? Like, that was their mother. So now it's all about just being persistent and being there and realizing that the blessings that I have and taking full advantage of them and not letting them go. Because like what I said, when I was in that state of mind, the enemy, it was truly the enemy attacking me, telling me there was not going to be anything. There's moments I would sit there and I would tell myself, like, this is what it is, accept it. But then later on that night, something would, like, I would hear something and it was weird. Like, I would even tell my mom and I would call her and she'd be like, Kassandra, like, I don't know what to say. But now
like,
that I understand,
you could hear like a voice?
like, I would hear things like, telling me.
Like what?
There was one time when I even woke up and I seen like a guardian angel. It was the strangest thing. And I was waking up and I remember something woke me up, like a presence of something evil, and walking in with my son's father. But when I was really like, I was closing my eyes, I seen the presence of a guardian angel. And in that moment, I remember I broke down and he even got scared. He was just like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? And I just couldn't explain it. But I got scared. I remember I just got up and I didn't want to go back to sleep because I was just like, what is this? Now I'm seeing things. But no, it wasn't. Like, it was always, the guardian angel, the female angel with the child. That's the same image that I seen in something telling me, like, they weren't going to let me go. And when I seen that, I was just like, no, I know God is real. So I would tell myself in the morning, like, don't lose faith. And with everything happening, I wasn't losing faith. I still believed in God, and I knew, the time was going to come. And the time came. And like I said, I didn't lose faith in him. And I knew, okay, when I went to jail, like I said, I was happy. Something about it was just like, okay, it's done. I can let go. And like God telling me, it's it. It's done with already. From here, we're not.
So that was the last time you went to jail?
Yeah, it was the last time I used it. I remember it's like,
so
any addict, your last time, you have to make sure it's your last time.
Yeah, and so yours was in February 2023?
Yeah.
February?
January, yeah, when I went to jail. And February is when I knew already that everything, like I said, God was there. In February, when I woke up around when it was my son's birthday and I knew I was going to miss it, that's it, that's done. I already knew for a fact I was done. When people talk in there and people talk to you and the psychs talk to you, what's going on. And of course, they stabilize you with medication to make sure, So I was going off of that. When I came home, I was still under medication. But I was noticing myself getting up on my own, doing things on my own, and just having that mother that was not gonna, in medication or not, you're gonna get up.
Yeah.
You're gonna get up. You're gonna do it. And her pushing me and her doing things with me, never left me alone. It's still strange to this day because we do everything together. Everything. Like there's times when I'm even calling her like, "Hey, are you gonna get up?" She's like, "No, you go on your own. That's too early for me to go to the gym." I'm like, "Okay." So now I do things on my own, and it's strange to be able to do stuff by myself, but it feels so good because to know you're getting stuff done and to know things are done on time, it feels good. That feeling I've never felt. I've always procrastinated. I've always thrown off to my parents or my grandparents.
Yeah. Same. I felt like when I was a kid, we kind of had similar the way we were raised. Like like we were spoiled, and our grandparents did everything for us. Mine did for sure.
Yeah, like especially our grandparents, we were like, nobody could tell them anything because they were gonna.
Yeah,
We're
and then because
angels.
you were the first grandchild, right?
Yeah.
So I was too.
And everybody knew, like even my family is just like, and my grandparents, it's hard now. The relationship I have with them, it's not as close as it used to be. But I see it as is. I'm doing it for myself. I don't want to fall on them again, and to lean on them. There's moments when it gets hard, and I want to, I know I can go to my grandparents, and they're gonna ready to catch me because there's moments they even call me and they're just like, "Is everything okay? You don't need anything," because probably I could say I am the sole provider for my children. My family, well, they get them my kids gifts and every now and then, but when it comes to me working, like everything that I have, it goes to my kids, and there's nothing like I got it. Like if it's something I have to sacrifice, then I do it for my kids and my parents. Everybody, they can't believe it. People ask and they're just like, "Oh, do you help? You get help with everything." And working a job, if you make over 1,200, you cannot get any assistance. And obviously, I make that much because I work full time. I work Monday through Friday. So now, me being able to do that on my own is like something that I take pride in.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not rich. We don't have anything, but my kids have what they need. I pay rent. I pay bills. Pay car insurance. I know the feelings of paying the phone bill, and I never had to do that my whole life.
Yeah.
All the way to this day into my 30s. Like even when I was with my son's father, though we didn't have the best living, but I didn't have to pay for anything. And, neither did he. His dad pays for everything.
Yeah.
So we were living the life. We were in our addiction so gone because whatever money we had went to our addiction.
Yeah.
And whatever my son needed, my family provided.
Yeah. So it's almost like you had enablers.
Enablers, and at the same time, because my mom refused, you're not going to let. But she was, behind the mind, even though I was always like, in my mind, like, "Oh, you're trying to take him from me." No, it's not what she was trying to do. She was trying to help me because she wanted me to wake up and see that. What was I going to do? Wait till incident happened or something happened, my son got hurt, Because those so many stories that we hear about it now in the news, how kids get hurt.
Yeah.
My kids have, like I said, my mom was something she was an answered prayer to my kids, everything. And to me also, I cannot lean on her. And even though I don't need to lean on her, I still do it because I know she's my mom.
Yeah.
Like it's like that little girl in me comes out. Like, and we know it. And to be able to have her because, not every day is promised.
No, for sure. I think that is, man, that's amazing, Kassandra, because I'm like that now with my grandma. Like I'm trying to hold on. We're in the middle.
We want the light effect to have that.
Yeah, right now it's like good little, and then
No, like
my goodness. Hey, no one. Never mind.
it's a light setting, no.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that too, but then I was like, we're good. That's why we bought the lights. So I mean, I remember I'm new to this. I this was like Alyssa bought all this. I was just gonna record and then just throw it on, and then all this kind of just fell into place. Like I bought this on. This came from a buddy, and I bought this on an auction, and this is on an auction. And we just bought this at Marshall's. So we're just putting it together a little bit. This rug was donated, so it's everything's been kind of just a blessing. It's kind of been, and that's how it usually is when you're doing it true wholeheartedly.
Take pride in it, the little things. I take pride in it when I go somewhere and tell my mom. It's funny because when it comes to school shopping for my kids and my kids want something, go ahead, you can get it. And I love it. I love that feeling, and I wouldn't replace it for anything. Just being able to be that sole provider for them, and and saying not to talk down on their dads or whatever it may be. They're going through their own problems and their own issues, and I hope they come out and they realize what they have. Their kids are blessings, and they don't let time go by because they've already let so much go by the way I have. But just to be able to say I'm blessed to do it is something that I wouldn't trade in for the world.
No, for sure. I I agree. I mean, it feels so good when you have everything paid and your kids, you're getting it for them.
It's hard to
and,
let
yeah.
it go. Like when I'm giving that rent money and I got to turn it into my mom, I'm just like, oh, here it is. And I'm like, Mom, the rent's due the first. She's like, yes, it's due. I always have to tell myself.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? Just to get it over with. But now I'm getting into the motions of, bills are bills. You have to pay. We can't just lean on someone all the time. And
Yeah.
like I said, my grandparents, they probably want to realize, what happened. Our relationship was so close. But the thing was that I was the one that was making it a bad environment there. And they didn't see no harm in anything. And you could tell them anything. The cops could have showed up, and my grandma was a trooper. She would hide me no matter where it was. I could have been in Madera, and there she goes, leaving work to go pick me up, to go hide me somewhere. And it's like, those are all things you don't do.
Yeah.
But in her mind, she's protecting me. And it's like, Grandma, I'm not ready yet to come around. I'm not just in that phase yet. Like, telling, we'll be there soon. And they're like, they miss us and they want to see us back. The time's going to come, we'll be there again. But right now, I know I can't let it pull me back, because I have to pull away from that connection that I had to everybody. That just, when people are not people, there's no such thing as a bad person. There's people that make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And the people that are still making those bad decisions, I can't put myself around it, because I could fall back into it just easily. I know my mind is strong and I'm mentally strong now, and I understand all that, but I don't like to. Why am I going to take the chance or the risk of it?
Yeah.
Or why just to find out? Like, why am I going to play with that situation?
When you were like out in Mendota and kind of like, as you would say, in your addiction out and around, did you ever like come across somebody you were like, what? Like, this person's doing this or this person's doing that?
Yeah, there's.
You don't have to give names, but
there's people that you don't expect it, and then it makes you feel. I guess that's like part of the devil too, because it made me feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, if you're doing it, then that's not bad if I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a wrong situation. It doesn't matter the person that's doing it, because all people could do it.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's bad. That's
Yeah.
just it. There's no justifying it. When you're in addiction, you justify it like, oh, people don't understand what we have to go through, to get out.
Exactly.
Like, you have to go through it, and no one's gonna ever understand their addiction.
Yeah,
But
they're just gonna deny it, and they're just gonna continue to try to justify why they're
doing it.
in the right.
Or it's because I'm so sad that today I gotta get high. That was my thing. Like, I don't have my kids, so I'm gonna get high. Like, you're not doing anything to change the situation, though. Oh, when the time comes, I'll change it. And then it got to the point where it's just, I stopped saying that, and where it's just like, no, my kids don't have their mother, and I don't have my kids, so that's just where it is. And to say that, like, when I was saying it, was like, I had no emotion. Like, now I have so much emotions, like you said. Right now I can cry about things, and be happy about it at the same time. But then I literally was emotionless. Like, people would look at me and be like, damn, Kassandra, you're pretty cold-blooded on things, like the way you say things. And I was just like, but something with kids that, like I said, when I would have people with their kids, would draw me into it, and I would feel that nudge in my heart, like something wasn't letting go.
Yeah.
So now that I could say that my emotions and everything's back, like, I'm perfectly sane, even though everybody said that, oh, Kassandra's not gonna go back. Law enforcement literally would go talk to my mom to take the time and tell her, what, we're sorry. But, my mom would wake up and she's like, what are they gonna tell me? My mom, so many times that she thought that they were knocking on her door, that something was wrong.
Why, you were just kind of like, just
yeah,
out of
like,
it,
I would
or
do
what?
things like, because it would make me mad when my mom would try to keep me away from the kids. So I would do like child welfare checks. I would call the sheriff's department and do that. And my mom would be like, what are you doing, Kassandra? Like, so they had to always, like, the sheriff's department would show up. Okay, child welfare check, of course. I'm like, I haven't seen my kids. My mom's not letting me see them. So they would show up.
But you were all spun out.
Yeah, they would
shit.
show up not realizing that my kids weren't in my custody. When it comes to kids, you guys, they take it serious.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, give us the address. We're going to show up right now. Like, what do you mean? How long has it been since you talked to your kids? And you're still going to let me talk to them all week. They're like, okay. So they would show up to my house, and my mom would be like, wait a minute, like, Kassandra, this is not funny. Like, so law enforcement, then they started, I think even on 911 calls, I was labeled as something. I don't know how they do it or what, but they even would call my mom, like a couple people that were like at highway patrol. They're like, Kassandra's literally labeled in our system. Like, she's red flagged.
Oh, shoot.
So I don't know how
Because you would
that
just
worked.
get like kind of like spun out and then just start calling.
But so many people knew us that I guess they had the heart. Sometimes we're just like, oh gosh, it's Kassandra again.
Mm-hmm.
So the police department would go looking for me. Even everyone in Mendota would laugh, because they're like, Kassandra, you're literally get escorted by the cops everywhere. If I needed a ride, they would take me wherever I needed.
Really?
Yes, and they would have to just document it. Like, they're like, hey, your mom called, she doesn't want you walking because it's raining. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, okay, take me to my grandma's. So they would take me, and they're just like, oh, but your grandparents don't want you here right now. Okay, where else do you want to go? So we had to be in the back of a cop car.
What the?
Yes, and because the cops just are like, we can't do that to her, because they understood the situation I was in, and they, not like I said, not speaking down on my son's father, but they seen it happening multiple ways. People, and they're just like, when I trusted him they're like, he's not doing it out of the badness of the heart, but that's where he's at in his addiction. And of course he wants to do more for you and everything he did do. Like I tell everybody, he opened his doors to me, but not only to me, he opened it to everyone.
Yeah.
So I have to be that mindset, and I have to be stingy. I have to value myself. Like, you weren't the only one he opened the door to, Cassandra. You're not going to be the last one he opens the door to either.
Yeah.
So,
Why does something in your heart tell you like you want to kind of make it work with them, or?
no, not to make it work with him, but to, how do I say, I don't have hate for him.
Yeah.
I have anger for him. And of course, like, I do have some type of, like, how do I say, like a bond, like a love towards him, because he is Michael's dad.
For sure.
The same way with my daughter's father. Like,
Yeah.
love him because, those are children. And there's going to be something that nobody understands between that bond that you had. But is it a good bond? No. Is it for me? No. It can't. It can't be. Two people can't work unless there's going to be a change. And if something's not going to change, then you can't even be prepared to try to picture a future with it. Like, now I understand that. It then was just maybe because I was used to it. Like, it's something that when you're not used to change, you go back to some things you're familiar with. Comfortable. I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Even though it was a bad environment and it was just not good. We were toxic for each other. We were at each other's throats every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that our son deserved. So the better thing is for us to be distant from each other. That's where we're at. But
in your relationship right now today, you feel like you're better? Or,
I'm better. I'm better, and I know that it's better. However, maybe I was not making it any easier for him.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I needed to leave. I can't say that, or he's gonna miss this, miss that. Until the day he's ready to make a change. Hopefully he does make a change to be involved in my son's life and the way my daughter's son. Hopefully, that they do come out of whatever they do come out of and they realize it. But
we'll keep them in prayer, and everything is at God's timing, right? I mean, 'cause at the end of the day, I think when the addiction, it comes down to the addict. Like we could sit there and pray for them, and hopefully they, but it's not until they want to, until they want to really truly see change and truly seek God, and then at that time, that's when God will reveal and He'll help them, because like you said, there's certain things you couldn't have imagined, right? Mm-hmm. And there's things that, I mean, if you told me, I couldn't have imagined.
If you would have told me then, even just the thought, like everyone says, that I was gonna have kids with both of those men, it would have never. If you would have told me that in high school, where we're all friends, like, hey, Cassandra, you're gonna have kids with this person and this person, I would have laughed and been like, no, because not only that, he was in a relationship with my best friend when we were then in high school, and everyone knows, they know who they are. So it's funny because it's like, no, you couldn't even give me money to convince me that was gonna happen. So now it's just the way things happen was just, it's unpredictable, basically unpredictable for everything.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I think it's same. Like, obviously, it's kind of crazy because in high school, you would have asked me, like, hey, I didn't want kids. I didn't want to have kids.
No one thought I was going to have kids neither, because my brothers were always with me, and I couldn't stand them. Like, I couldn't stand having kids around. I would remember going to people's houses with some of my friends that have kids, and it was so bad. I tell people, I even apologize to this day, because I see them now that they're older, they're kids. I'm like, I remember that little kid, like, wanting to get into me, and I would literally, like, like if they're monsters.
Well, because we had, our friends were having kids that, in high school. That's why it was crazy. Like, I felt like we were a generation where we were exposed to a lot, because I think we had a few of our classmates have children when we were in high school. So it's different, and now those kids are, I think, either graduated high school now, or they are like seniors, like, that's how crazy it is. Or like, I think they're already gone, right? They're out of high school, because this was back in what, 06?
Yeah.
So they were 1 or 2, let's just say,
when we're graduating.
25, 19 years ago. So yeah, they're out of high school.
Yeah, they're already out of high school.
Crazy.
And I see that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my kids are growing so fast. And you couldn't even tell me I was gonna have 5. I would have barely not thought maybe 1.
Yeah.
I barely could have told me, like, oh, it's natural, you're gonna have 1 kid. But then to have 5, my son was just like it was a blessing in disguise for everybody, because nobody accepted it when he found out I was pregnant with him. Nobody wanted to accept it. And I was just something in me too, because he wasn't supposed to be here today. And I just remember that day and falling asleep and not waking up, because I was supposed to go have an abortion with my son, and it didn't happen. And the way it happened was just like, now we see him and we're just like, oh my gosh, he's the craziest one out of all of them. But there's nothing we wouldn't do to trade it. Like, a day with him, it's.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy, because I remember, like, initially I said I didn't want to have kids, so, and I mean, unless we're so young. So, like, I was not really a big fan of, I had told her, I was like, are you sure we're going to be together? Like, we're not, we're just so young. And You know, at the time I felt like it was more like I was coming out of like a high school relationship, and vice versa, her too. And until we had just met, and I know we're like a couple months later she's pregnant, right? And then I felt like that was the biggest blessing because that threw me into going to school, and then when I
Yeah,
went to
to
school, I
step
went
up
to
to
go
everything.
get a job, and like I said, it's funny because I mean, in high school, did you ever thought I would have been like, oh, you said
No,
yeah, but
I didn't ever. Okay, you have a firm foundation, but I never seen you as a parent. Probably because I think our style, we're stingy people.
for sure,
We're stingy people.
yeah,
Like what was ours was
greedy,
ours.
stingy, yeah,
Like even with my brother, like I don't know how many times I picked on him, and now him being away, and he always tells me like there's little things that he remembers, but now he's one of the ones that has a much more firmer foundation, Luke, and and nobody would have ever thought because I was just like, oh, you know, I always pushed him to the side. I always pushed him to the side. Nobody
yeah,
realized that they knew I had a brother, but never seen my brother because I was like, we were golden children, like in our family.
yeah,
And to this day, our family's always going to see that. And it's like, I want to live up to that expectation. And that's what I'm striving for. And I know that when I sit there and we'll know when we get to our victory and when we're there.
yeah. No, I agree, and it's just kind of crazy how time is just kind of catches up, right? It's just so like when they really truly tell you like, hey, it'll in a flash, in a blink, right, in a snap, and it's like it's true. Like I feel like just the other day, it felt like, man, I just saw you, and we were 18, and now I'm just turned 37, so it's like we're in our mid to late 30s now, you
I
know,
know.
and but it's all good. I mean, I feel like it's good to see you. It's good to catch up, you know. I feel like we'll see what happens with this, and we'll see what happens with you, and we'll check in with you later. And like I said, when I start releasing podcasts, people will ask questions like, hey, where's she at on this? I'm pretty sure. And like I said, when maybe we can get you back on in a few months, and then kind of catch up and see how you've been doing, and
Yeah.
you know where your walk is, and just kind of, you know, update us. And I think maybe obviously when this gets released and we watch it over and you're okay to release it, that we can kind of see more or less how we attack, you know, the next time, and kind of see where we can, you know, kind of direct it, right? And we'll both kind of pray on it and kind of go from there, right? I mean, but do you have anything else you kind of want to say?
No, just thank you though for giving me the opportunity to do this because honestly, like it couldn't have been, like I said, it was the right timing. I'm totally comfortable with the situation with you and Alyssa welcoming. It's like, it feels like, you know, like I was walking back to your guys' apartment when you guys first had the apartment.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's just, there was never a day, you know, that I felt out of place with you guys. So I thank you guys for that.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And well, I think we'll wrap it up. And that it was a very good convo. Thank you for wrapping up season 1. You're my last episode for season 1, and I will start the editing process. But once again, thank you, Kassandra, for coming on, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty.